Welcome to Football or Soccer, the podcast with me, Sam Palmer and Tony Taafe. How are you, Tone?
My mate, until the Reds are not top of the league, you know what my answer is.
I know, exactly. Do you know what? It's the same old thing. It's like Groundhog Day. I could tell you the only thing that changed this week is City's won and Spurs won. But it's like the Premiership's the same every week at the minute. Liverpool win, Arsenal win, West Ham lose, Man United lose. It's just Groundhog Day.
Man United, by the way.
Do you know what? That's where I want to start. Obviously, one of the losers had to win yesterday. It had a draw written all over it.
Didn't it?
Yeah, and look, I'm putting West Ham in that as well. I think we're all the same club this year. Look, yes, Ange has bemoaned that he hasn't got the players. And fair enough, you can't really judge him without the first team. But what about Bournemouth? I think they've got 11 men missing. So they're flying, Bournemouth.
I can see, I've said this before, I can see their manager getting stolen.
Oh, he is definitely. West Ham, I said at the time, West Ham, I would have liked him to become the West Ham manager.
I mean, but Potter, though, mate, I think you've done well with Potter, to be honest.
Have we? Because this is what I wanted to get onto today. Ruben Amorim, I've been saying it for a few weeks, is he getting away with it? Right? Mm-hmm. Now, is he getting away with it because he's good in an interview? Because we have seen nothing in 15 games. I think they've won 3 times or something like that. He loses week after week after week.
Yeah.
And Potter's now exactly the same at West Ham. In actual fact, our performance at the weekend against Brentford was up there with worse than anything I saw in the Lopetegui
I mean,
era.
but Brentford are very good.
They weren't amazing against West Ham. They were distinctly average against West Ham.
Well,
and they didn't have to get out of third gear. So I find, so then you look and like Potter, Amorim, you look and go, right, oh, well, it's not their teams. They're getting this excuse by all fans at the minute because there's been a bit of media around it. So when really, as fans, we follow the media really because we listen to like the Nevilles, the Carragers.
And the media is always perception. The media is very rarely factual these days, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
so. We follow the perception.
Now, if everyone was saying, like they was with Ten Hag, this guy is useless. Listen to him, he can't get it right. We would be saying Amorim out. Because at this moment, I think Amorim is the worst Manchester United manager of all time, like with these wins.
I mean, that's a little bit of...
No, I mean, actually, statistically.
Well, I know, but come on. It's like...
Leave that there, Jack, that's fine.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, but he isn't. And I don't think he will be either.
I don't know. I want to just point out, our co-host Chris Dyson, 8:45 was supposed to turn up. And I've just seen him waltzing in here at 8:53 on the phone.
He finally arrived, this kid?
Yeah, I've just seen him. He's outside. He's on the phone.
Oh, wow. Has he got one of his hats on again?
He's going, I'm on the phone. He's obviously got a bit of business going on, so I might let him off. At least he has turned up. But fucking pet hate, fucking being late. What's it called? We were talking about Amorim, yeah.
Do you know what? From now on, it's not Chris Dyson, it's Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher, yeah.
Christopher. Yeah.
He's in a pink hat. Wait till you see him when he comes in. Fucking.
He does like a good hat, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves it.
What is it? Is a pink baseball cap?
Yeah. He loves it.
Of course it is.
Amorim. Now, he wants to play this formation of the 3 at the back.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly Manchester United have not got players to play 3 at the back. He's now, oh, here he is. Welcome on. We are now live, Chris. So just let you grab your coffee.
Okay.
You're getting straight into it. Right, why are
Christopher.
Why are you so late, Chris?
What time do you call this, Christopher?
To clients trying to get a price reduction on a house.
Right.
Well,
did you get it?
We're trying to get a price reduction on Manchester United.
Yeah, we're just discussing
What?
before you rudely interrupted.
Sorry.
We were just discussing Amorim and like Graham Potter, right? Are they getting away with it because media likes them? Because
I don't know that Amorim's getting away with anything. He's getting coated this morning.
Well, this morning a little bit.
Yeah.
But if he was Ten Hag, they would be saying, get rid of this guy right now. He's no good.
Well, I think...
I know you can't just keep doing it.
I think Amorim is benefiting from the fact that they've all been shit and they've all had bad results. And so, you know, there comes a point where you go, well, we've had every manager under the sun in now, and maybe the team's just not that great. And we've got to give him time, and we've got to give him time. If he's our guy, we've got to let him, you know, put his stamp on the team. He hasn't had a chance to do that. Well, obviously, in January, they didn't really do anything, did they?
No, they bought him one. Didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't think they've got any money, bizarrely, for Manchester United.
Yeah, and look, he's trying to stamp his thing with the whole Rashford thing, which I get. I think he might have been a little bit, in hindsight, a little bit too vocal, you know, talking about this being the worst. I know what he's trying to do.
I said
he's trying to
this
get
a
reaction.
couple of weeks
Trying to
ago.
get a reaction, exactly.
I said this a couple of weeks ago, though, Chris. He said, I'm not going to change, which is a lot. It's the Ange Postecoglou rule book, isn't it? This is who we are, mate.
And where is, and what I'm saying is, right, it's
They're
okay.
black as well, by the way. Look
I know. Look.
Yeah,
Men in black.
I know. I'm Navy.
You're Navy.
I don't know whether the cameras pick it up, but I'm Navy. By the way, while we're talking about what we're wearing,
as well. Amber's spinning in black as well.
Amber's in the black too.
Come and sit, Amber. You got
take a picture of Amber right now. There he is.
Put it all together. Legend.
Wait, but before we move on, while we're talking about what we're wearing, what's on the baseball hat today, Christopher?
Oh,
Not Chris anymore, Christopher.
Well, real men wear pink, so I'm a big fan of my pink hats and pink shirts. I think pink's.
But I mean, I can't see it from here. Is there a logo on it or something?
It's LA upside down.
LA upside down, mate.
Oh, that's the one you were wearing last week.
Which is pretty apt for LA at the minute.
Yeah.
It is all about upside down, isn't it?
Oh, it's all over the place. God, yeah, it's tough right now. Challenging.
Yeah. Sorry. Come
on.
What are we? Sun's out. Unbelievable. What are we discussing? Amorim. The formation. Right. So this is what I wanted to say. You know, as a manager, right, what the team you're going into plays, what the players are.
Yeah.
And you're saying, right, okay, I'm going to change formation. Now, why should the club wait for you? If you're a manager, surely you should be able to go in and improve the players you've got to an extent. And I'm going to use David Moyes as an example here.
Yeah.
And Iriola at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Even Hertzler at Brighton to an extent, gone in.
Jurgen Klopp,
I use him as well. Well,
good. See, we got him in time.
Right? No, but I'm saying they're good managers, right? They've gone in, Arteta.
Yeah.
So they've not gone in. It's all right, Sam. We've got Ange. We've got 11 injuries. This, which of course is going to hurt you. Get it? Surely, if you're a proper manager, coach, you have to say, shit. Unfortunately, the way we play is out the window right now. We've got to go to plan B. Because then are you saying you're a bit of a poor coach that you've only got one? No, you've only got one way of playing. Alex Ferguson or good managers, Liverpool right now, they don't have one way of playing.
No, that's right.
Because they don't. But you've got to understand the difference between Liverpool and Manchester United. Obviously, Liverpool being the biggest club in Britain by a mile. But other than that, Liverpool have had Jurgen Klopp for 9 years before this fella got in, before Slot got in.
Yeah.
And
No, I get there was a groundwork. But what about David Moyes then? Let's use David Moyes as an example, right?
I think it's
he's had shit after shit.
I think I know what you're trying to say. So you're trying to say
he's gone in, he's bought no one.
Yeah, and they're better.
No,
and he's improved what's
games. You can't use 4 games as an example.
You can, of course you can.
No, you can't.
Because I'm saying immediate impact,
you get 12
right?
points, or
tell you who's going to be pissed.
He's won every game bar one.
Exactly. Like Ruud van Nistelrooy.
And that was his first game where I think he'd been there 2 days. So that actually wasn't really his game.
But like Ruud van Nistelrooy at Man United, he took over and he won all the games and he sacked him and brought the other guy in.
Yeah.
Well, how many managers have gone into Man United, and good managers, by the way, even Van Gaal and Mourinho, you know, they'll go down as two of some of the best managers that have ever lived. But these managers that are going into Man United now, the worst thing they can do is go with the flow.
No, I do agree. I also do agree with you. But if you haven't got players for a system, which they clearly have not got,
I'm saying some coaches are going to. Some coaches are better at going in and improving the players that they have, rather than having after players that play the way they want to play. They go in and make the existing team better. And I think that's what Moyes has clearly done with Everton, right? And that's
look at them. They look unbelievable. What it is, hard work, a bit of shape, and getting a bit better out of some of the players that are there. Look at this Beto. He hasn't stopped scoring. The geezer hasn't scored in months. Now he doesn't stop scoring. But he's given him a bit of confidence. He's gone in. But what I'm saying is, if I'm a Manchester United fan, actually, I'm going to predict this now. Ruben Amorim will do nothing with Manchester United until
I disagree. I think he will.
I don't. Nothing.
How come? Why don't you think so?
If you can't improve them in any way, shape, or form in 15 games, it's a quarter of a season, right? What makes you think? So basically, what he's saying is, I've got to get rid of every one of these players, want my new team in. But if I'm Manchester United, I don't think I'd be going, you haven't shown me anything that makes me think that you can actually do this. Because if you can't improve any player, not one player has improved under Amorim.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.
Do you remember?
I think it's a good point.
Do you remember how bad? This is my only reference, so I'm sorry to keep going back to it. But do you remember how bad Liverpool were when?
Oh, if he says Jurgen Klopp again, fucking.
No. I maybe
when Souness left. Yes, I know. Yeah.
Maybe Ruben Amorim is the Gerard Houllier of.
Like he's the bench,
United.
he's the gap.
He was the fellow who came in and said, "Boys, this is a shit show. You're going to get left behind." But you saw under Houllier an improvement. Like I'm not saying. Well, you can't. In actual fact, just give me 15 games. That's a quarter of a season, Tone. What's 15 games? It's not.
This is what's weird. In some managers, you'll go, they need more time, but. In football, you don't get time.
Honestly, I think it's a really good point because you want to bring somebody in, and I'm sure.
I'm not saying you've got to be winning everything.
But you've got. You can't clean out the entire team and then
because
bring them all back in.
It's impossible.
So you've got to bring a manager in, as you say, who can actually do something with the existing guys, like David Moyes has done with Everton and the guys you mentioned. I think it's a good point. Because, Amorim's going to say, I need time, which he probably does. And the way that he's going about his business right now doesn't appear to be doing the trick. I think he's tripped up a few times, as I say, in the press. Talked a bit too much. You can't get in trouble for what you don't say. Do you know what I mean? Well. And he's been very quick to get out and say some things that...
Which to be fair to him, he's put his stamp on it.
Yeah.
But you've got to then have a bit of substance. Name one improvement of Manchester United. Bearing in mind, when Ten Hag goes to 13th, they're now 16th.
Yeah.
You can't name an improvement. They've gone backwards, but that doesn't mean that the bigger vision is not attainable. Like
it could be. I just don't. If I'm a betting man right now, I don't think he improves. Man, I don't. The Man United will not be a top 4 team next year.
All right,
but he's going to be there for a minute.
I'll bet you $1. I'll bet you $1.
Yeah.
I'll bet you $1 that next season.
Want to go to fucking Vegas with Tone, wouldn't you? What'd you say? Don't say they'll be slightly higher than where they are.
No, they will just finish higher than what they did this year. I'll bet you $1.
Well,
all right, okay, let's go crazy.
Well, fuck me, you're a real big better on the... you should have bet fucking 3 million, you cunt.
Listen, so when you're saying he's not going to do anything with them, that's
Ruben Amorim has not been brought in to get Manchester United to 11th. No. He's been brought in to win the league.
Of course not. But I'm sure,
I think he'll be there. He's going to be there for a minute. I don't think you'll see him chop and change again.
6 weeks.
I think he'll be there for a minute though, Toe. I don't think they sack him. I don't think they can afford to sack him.
No, they won't. They won't sack him. They're not definitely not sacking him.
Chris. Yeah. I mean, he's.
But would you back him to clear that squad out and then go? Bearing in mind, you're buying for a formation now that nobody else plays. So if you sack him, another manager's coming in, and you're going to have all wing backs in the team and things like that. So then that manager's going to go, well, I ain't got any fullbacks.
Yeah,
I've got wing backs.
Yeah.
I've got defenders that play in threes, not twos.
I think they've got a chance. And also, I think, and Gary Neville made this point, and I think it's a good one. Like Old Trafford's getting a bit dilapidated, and it's
a bit. No, to be honest with you, I went there last year.
Yeah,
and I've always felt Manchester United that was the best stadium in the league. It just had something about it. Was the first big stadium, really.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when I say tired, it looks like it's falling down.
And I think, as players, it's from the ground up. It's culture. It's how you feel when you walk into the training ground. It's the little things that help just elevate everything. And if you're going in and your training facilities are knackered and the stadium's leaking and falling down, everything, it has an effect.
And I think from the top down, so I don't know if we'll move on to Spurs now, I suppose, because it went in yesterday. Did you see?
Are we trying to make people jump off buildings?
No, I can't listen to fucking Liverpool. I can't evaluate Liverpool Wolves and say how good they are. Fucking.
Well, we weren't.
Fucking Van Dijk as usual. Fucking dog shit defender. Spurs. So Neville went on. So there was a big protest yesterday about Daniel Levy at Spurs, Spurs Man United. So the Spurs fans done a big protest march to the ground, and then they done it inside the ground for quite a while after the game.
Did they?
Levy was in attendance. Now, it's funny because you can look at this two ways. Spurs have the best ground in the league.
Yes.
They have the best training ground in the league, if not the world, both of those.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't realise this. Spurs are also the third highest spenders in the Premiership since 2019. So
wow,
none of us would have thought that actually. No. I think it's Chelsea, United, Spurs.
Yeah.
So and then Arsenal, I think it is. So then you're looking and going, well, they're all having a go. He also bought in Mourinho. Conte.
That's what I was going to say. They've had some of the best managers ever.
Yeah. So he's tried the managers. So going to Neville's point there, and Neville actually raised it. He said what he hasn't been able to do is put a winning, like the culture.
Yes.
People find it hard to deal with Daniel Levy and things like that. So players go, agents don't want to deal with him. So maybe you're not getting the right player. He said they're getting money players. He said like Kane, they should have built a team around, but he wanted to go. Because he then said, which was said controversially, before Manchester City were bought, Spurs were a much bigger club than Manchester City, which I do agree.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And what he's saying is Man City's owners came in and managed to establish a culture, a winning culture, which was never there. And he said that, I think, is the difference of Spurs under Levy, which is quite...
It's easy with $10 billion though to do.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but Spurs are spenders, so as it shows. They've got, players want to go to Spurs. But the level of their player they're giving 6-5 mil for Solanke.
Yeah, they've got no excuses, have they, to your point? Because,
No, but then does Levy also say, listen, boys, I mean, look what I've given you.
I think it's on Levy.
But what do you think that is then? Because you also with Spurs, when you hear the man, you never hear what Mourinho said about them. You hear what Conte said about them. You see the outbursts from the managers about the club and about how that doesn't happen, and it's happened to Spurs. You don't really hear managers,
Well,
speaking
and I think the reason it's happened with Spurs is because none of us can explain why it's happened with Spurs, because they spend the money. They have obviously the best.
Is that a problem with Daniel Levy then?
Where
does the book stop?
I suppose that's why the Spurs fans are demonstrating.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it stops at Levy.
I don't blame them, because as you say, everything else.
They should be a top 4 team, really. They're the third biggest spenders, best ground, best thing, and in London. In actual fact,
because London's the
people
big
should
thing.
be choosing to go to Spurs between Liverpool and Spurs.
Well, that was
at
always our
points.
problem. I know for a fact that that's again why Jurgen Klopp is God, because
He got players there.
he got players to come to Liverpool, because the players in
Liverpool also is not the place it was in the 90s.
That's
It's
what I
a
was
much
gonna say.
nicer place now.
Well, but also the players in the 2000s didn't remember our glory days, so they didn't care about that. So they cared about, are they going to go out on Saturday in London
And money.
or in Formby?
Yeah.
And so it was hard to attract players to come to the Northwest just from a logistics standpoint. So again, Spurs have got zero excuse, zero. Like, again, the facilities, the spending, the position.
I was shocked that they were
should be
third
world
biggest spenders, to be honest with you. But then
Yeah.
I know sporting directors have come and gone at Spurs over the years, things like that.
Do you not just think it comes down to bad football decisions? Like, commercially,
Commercially, Daniel Levy's amazing.
my
We're
God,
not going to
the
disagree
man's
with
a
that. He's
genius commercially.
brilliant.
But he has also taken it up
Tell me
upon
why,
himself.
Tell me why. Tell me why on that.
On what?
Why commercially he's a genius?
Well, because
they're
they have the
brilliant.
best stadium in the world. They have some of the obviously one of the highest revenues in Europe. They have I think one of the lowest wage bills
Yeah.
compared to their revenue.
Well, maybe that's why they're not winning, because the players feel they're getting shafted.
I think they're not winning because the guy
Look
who
at
is
Scottie Pippen
taking
for the
it upon
Bulls.
himself.
How toxic that was.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I think the difference is they're
But they're not winning.
they're not buying.
So, is he clever?
they're not buying the right people. And actually, Paul
He
Scholes said
got
it
bit
before.
though. Don't forget when they showed Gareth Bale, he got bitten by. I think they spent all of the Bale money on
Lamella.
Yeah, but it's hard.
yeah,
I
it's
think,
like
so you've got to be
players. I think one
careful
of them
when
went.
you try and run a club commercial, because it's a
Wildly.
great business, but football is so emotional, and the fans, you can't. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that, like, look at Arsenal. Look at they run it as a business. And the fans effing hated it because they wouldn't spend any money. They were great. It was a great business, made loads of dough. But because they didn't invest back into the club, the fans were against them for most of the time.
And this could be on Daniel Levy's side. Look, one thing he's not doing is putting the club at risk. Which, like Arsene Wenger as well. Which fans don't care about
fans
that.
don't give a toss.
No,
what
but
the bottom
ultimately,
line is.
you
They care
could
about
spend
winning.
$1 billion
I mean, you
like
say that,
Chelsea
though, until
and finish seventh. And
say
then the club's
fans
in
don't
risk.
care about
That's a
that.
different,
You
I
say
mean,
fans don't care about that until the club is at risk, and then
That's what I mean.
but
fans
it's a
care
happy,
about
but
it.
it's you got to get the balance. And again, that's why FSG I effing love, because they run.
I agree
It's the
with
best
you.
run club
I
in the country, and
Completely
we're winning.
agree, Chris. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why you've got to say we are. I mean, again, I hate to go back, but it's a fact. Like, those guys have come in and they have transformed our club.
Yeah.
And there'll be books written about what they did with Liverpool for
I
these
mean,
last 9 years.
from a business commercial standpoint, they've multiplied us by 100. But going back to Daniel Levy, I think the fella is clearly, as I say, I think he is a commercial genius. I really do, because think of where Spurs were 15 years ago versus where they are now. It's a different world. They
still haven't won anything, and the fans hate him. So how good can they be? Like, take 10% off your bottom line and put it into the players so they want to play for you, they want to win. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but
No,
It's
is
not
it
about
because he's too much of a
investment for them.
control freak and he hasn't got the right people?
He makes bad football decisions. He makes amazing commercial decisions and bad football decisions.
Well, the worst football decision he ever made was sacking
Well,
Mourinho before that cup
yes.
final,
Well,
which
no,
was
no, I think it was
absolutely
actually sacking
outrageous.
Pochettino.
I'm gonna say this though. So look, the way the players play, it's so important, from the top, and it's, they don't care what the stadium is, what the park's like, what the training stadium's like.
They don't
if there's
care
bad
until
sentiment, if
they
it's
care.
toxic, if there's toxicity there, then that transforms to how the players perform. And when you hear Conte and you hear Mourinho sounding off about how bad the culture is there,
Mourinho
you wonder
disregards Tottenham that he manages.
That's what I mean. Like, you never hear that. He's never said that about anyone.
He said, "I've got a love for everything except for Tottenham," didn't he?
Now, this is what I'm talking about. So, what is going on at the top that then permeates down? That's the whole.
I think they have a crazy control freak.
Well, it must be.
I know What's that?
It must be because
Because he feels like, or at least on the outside, it feels like he has to make every important decision within the club. Which
100%.
he's
Apparently,
not
though, they are
qualified to
looking
do
to sell
clearly.
Spurs. Do you know what? We're going to take a quick short break and we'll continue this when we get back. Welcome back, everyone. We are discussing Spurs and obviously the protests of Daniel Levy yesterday after they win Manchester at home to Manchester United yesterday. But so we're just discussing. Do you know, it is crazy actually. The more you talk, when you talk about Spurs, I tend to try and not talk about Spurs because I hate them so much. But it's but it is out. It is mad. I know that they lost the Champions League final, but they haven't even been close to winning things.
I do think a lot of it
you
as
can't
well,
say they lost the Champions League final and say they haven't been close.
Well,
They've been
once,
close.
like one cup competition. I suppose they were in another cup final.
Didn't they get beat? What was the other cup final they got beaten?
The League Cup, I think.
Was it the League Cup?
Yeah, I can't remember who to, but they lost that. But they are in Europa and would be the favourites for that now.
No,
Because Manchester United
I
are
think,
still in
so.
it. But
Yeah.
you'd fancy Spurs over Man United. Or no, let's just be honest with you.
Yeah,
The game
on a one-off
yesterday
game,
was
yeah,
like two
yeah,
teams
yeah.
in 14th position.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't good. Did you see Roy Keane's comments this week? And obviously
Which
it's come up
ones?
straight away on James Maddison.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I
yeah.
listened to
What
it.
did he say? Go on.
So basically he said, like, what's Maddison? Like the guy, what he plays every few months. And he said, like, he's not like, basically saying what you should be pinning all your ropes
So they were
on.
talking about Spurs injuries, weren't they? And they
And they were saying
I don't know
Maddison's
who
gonna
it
be
was.
back, and he said, "What, is that
well,
gonna be-"
Maddison
Yeah.
is going to come back, and he was like, oh, well, I couldn't imagine being in the Spurs dressing room and thinking, oh, James Maddison's back, so everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, he said he got relegated with Leicester. He's like basically saying, look, the kid's got talent, I suppose, but doesn't really fulfil anything, does he? And I don't think Keane's wrong, actually.
I don't
Obviously,
think he's wrong
Who
either.
scores the goal? James Maddison. He does the old like this. And shush. And to be honest with you, which is good. Do you know what? I would have liked him to come out and actually agree with Roy. Do you know what? Refreshing if a player actually said, do you know what? Maybe I have looked at myself a little bit.
I think players are too quick to respond. I think when people, it shows. I think it's way stronger to just ignore it. You know, when you respond to it, it shows that you're listening and it has an effect and you're actually bothered. And I think that it just. I don't know. I hate that. I'd love to see him not even do anything and just let his football do the talking.
But what is his?
more
But
powerful.
let's be honest with you. What is his football doing the talking?
Well,
Plays
exactly.
in a
It's
shitty
not, but
team.
he-
Like when someone like Roy Keane's
Do you know
giving you
what I mean,
advice,
though?
why
Do
don't
you
you
know what I
fucking
mean?
listen?
But like everyone that's so quick, even the managers especially, like just go about your business. Like this is the thing with Amorim, going back to that. Like you can't get into trouble for what you don't say, and people are just too quick, I
Correct.
think. To
Did you see what Amorim said this week? Actually, when they were obviously comparing him and Ange, both under pressure and all that, and he
Yeah.
said, "Listen, I'm under a lot more pressure because Manchester United's a bigger club," and it's like, but like, don't need to say that.
No, he doesn't need to
No.
say a lot of. That's what I mean. I mean, I just like to see, especially the reactionary stuff, like to the pundits and this. You know, just go about your business. Like that's what they're paid
Yeah,
to do. And let your
listen,
football
the
do talk. Don't give them
pundits are
reason
paid to
like,
talk.
get on with it.
The pundits are paid to talk, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And the players, like even, and it was a rare one, but Virgil van Dijk after the derby when he said, "This is Everton's cup final." It's like, all right, mate. Like
And do you
that-
know what? Do you know, I saw a lot of that, right? You know, we make things about teams. Like, we all, you know what it is? We're all fans, and we get the needle when our team loses and someone else supports.
I mean,
right?
I was-
But your
I could
first
imagine the
reaction is to go,
emotions after
it's
that
your
game."
cup final, you're beating us. But really, you're actually gutted. And actually, it's quite good when you see fans and players all dancing around, like,
Yeah.
actually, like they're happy, they're getting together, because then they're one with the fans, aren't they? It's kind of like...
No, well, it goes to culture, which again, I think, going back to Spurs, like again, there's something in the ether that they're just not winners. Like, everybody thinks that Spurs are just not
like
winners.
team after team after team after
but they-
team.
that's what they've got.
People at the club, managers,
they've
they're
got to
all...
switch that. They've got to switch.
How
that.
do you breed a winning mentality? See, I think it's easy at Manchester United. I really do.
What do you think should happen?
I think it's the easiest thing in the world at Man United to do because I think I've said it before. I would strip it back. I would bring the old boys in. I would lean on it.
You've said this before.
Yeah, I know. But that's what Fergie did.
No.
Who did he have around? Nobby Stiles, Bobby Charlton. Oh,
No, but they were directors.
Brian Kidd,
and they...
proper people that were around the club when it was winning, and he harped on about the winning and mentality of old. Now, when you look at that, you go, that's what he done. He created the standards, he created the winning culture. And that's the difference. And I think at a club like Manchester United or Liverpool, you can do that. Liverpool, what did they have? I know it wasn't successful at that time. The boot room. They were always there.
No, it was
Why
successful.
were they there? Weren't there because it was a jolly holiday. They were there because it was that they were winners. And that was the unfortunately, maybe it never worked. They probably never had the right manager at that time. But under Kenny, it worked.
Well, actually, no, it worked. The whole you look at
just Roy Evans, it didn't work.
Well, it was Roy Evans is when it went, and the biggest issue that I had back then,
and Suey, I suppose, Suey and then Roy Evans, yeah.
Well, it was they were trying to keep the boot room with which I think is so cute because I love Graham Souness. I mean, who doesn't? And he's a great.
I love Souness.
That's one of the strangest things ever.
I wish he would never have come back
amazing
as manager.
Period for Liverpool when Graham Souness took it. I mean, I still.
But they just bought wrong, didn't they?
They did buy wrong. Yeah,
they just had the wrong sort of players, didn't they? And that's where I suppose.
Julian Dix.
Well, exactly like Julian Dix, Razor, like all them. They were. Suey liked hard players, and he probably wasn't the top manager.
Yeah,
hard to say because he's managed good clubs, but he kind of didn't really do it everywhere. A lot of people didn't like him. A lot of people fell out of him.
Well, he was a divisive character, but
he's a Roy Keane, isn't he? He was Roy Keane of his day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but
my way or the highway, and some people just obviously couldn't do it, and he was a bit too defensive, mate. Who knows? But it didn't work.
Yeah. It didn't work. And
when Souness came in, I was a kid. I was really young when Souness came in, so I don't really remember it, to be honest. But looking back, what Souness tried to do was what Houllier did, because Souness had been to Italy. He'd been around, he'd seen how different players lived their lives and how different clubs were. And obviously that was the future. But when Souness came in, you still had the players from, the 80s who were just like, this is not what he tried to do.
But I don't want to go off topic here because I don't want this to become a Liverpool history again. Because
why not?
People are moaning about fucking too much Liverpool on this conversation.
Well, tell them to keep fucking moaning. Tell them to message me.
Fucking listening to this shit every week, Amra. I can't listen to it because you see how I'm just going to move them on every time.
All right, go on. Talk about West Ham.
The culture, that's what I mean. Having them winners around, if you can't respond to that, someone like Ryan Giggs or Paul Scholes telling you...
But you say that, though, but look at Roy Keane's management record.
No, I'm not saying come in and manage.
It's not just having them around that does it. It's there's obviously a process that they have to go through.
Roy Keane might be too divisive to have around. You maybe keep him around a little bit. But what I'm not saying, bring them all in and say, boys, just get on with it. You lot will do it all. Have them around. Have them in the changing room. Honestly, Bobby Charlton used to be in the changing room.
What are they going to do in the changing room? Clean boots?
I'd love to see Roy Keane have some role in it and see what happens. I would.
I honestly think he'd change it. I really do.
What would he do?
Others, because the others would calm him down a bit.
What's his job,
with your Nevilles, with your Scholes. Because Scholes as well. Scholes, very good footballing people, these people. Maybe not good enough coaches or managers. Because actually none of them have been good coaches.
So then if they're not going to be the coach or the manager, what are they going to do?
Standard setters.
No,
like
you can't just be like, oh, this is the standard setter. There has to be
there's a role you can make. Look, what was Bobby Charlton? Bobby Charlton wasn't out there coaching.
Well, he was a director and he was also in his...
Well, what was he there for? He weren't there because he was putting money in, was he? He was there as the standard of Manchester United. He was the top goal scorer of Manchester United. And he was there. This man survived Munich. This man then recreated the Busby Babes.
I think it starts with the players, though. Ultimately, how would these players react to that? They've got to want it. Like the players have got to want. And I might be wrong.
They might not want. They might not know what it's
Rashford,
like.
But you look at a Rashford. Like he had the world at his feet and could have been.
No, but I think that's where standards come in.
No, but this is my point. he had the chance to prove himself and to show whether he was going to put his head down and not throw his dollies out the pram. And he obviously continued to do that, and so they got rid of him. Now, if you've got 11 other toxic players there or more, and you bring in these people and they just go, "Oh, fuck you, you're an old fart and I don't give a fuck about," then
Which I'm sure some of them at Manchester United under Fergie did, and they went.
Exactly.
And that's
so it comes from the manager then,
I'm
no?
just saying, I think there's enough of Manchester United. In actual fact, I think there's enough of old Manchester United players that care.
I don't think you're wrong at all.
It's like Thierry Henry turning up at Arsenal.
Yeah.
He walks in and people go, ooh.
Yeah,
I heard Rio talk about it yesterday, actually. He said they were training in Dubai on a mid-season break once. And he said a Maradona turned up at training. And he said, and we all think, and he said, and the boss went, go, like that.
Yeah.
And he said, that was more important than training. We were going, it's fucking Maradona.
Yeah.
Like, and he said,
but if Maradona's there every day,
you are?
If Maradona's there every day, it doesn't have that same...
No, I'm not saying they have to be there every day. Some of them could be. But listen, they've got other stuff going on. They don't want to be there every day. There's a very different thing. I've always felt that with England. Why they say tournament football, like it's boring and things like that. Why don't you bring in, for an hour talk, Tony Adams? Talk about some old war stories. Terry Butcher, Gaza, probably maybe not Gaza, but probably would be fun.
Are you sure
Imagine
that Man United don't do
Tony
that?
Adams comes in and goes, I remember this. Or Terry Butcher, I'm going to talk to you about doing like just a little bit of
Becks.
being around, or Becks.
Bring
and say,
Rooney. Bring the one,
Frank, to say, this is my biggest regret that we didn't do this. I didn't enjoy this. I didn't do that. And I think as a player, that's how you culture. Because ultimately, how do you make a culture in an office, right? Now, we both work at the same company at the agency, right? Since COVID, the office is absolute dog shit because really it's filled up with a load of people that don't really do any business. But the days you go in there and the top performers are in there, you go in there and you hear Mauricio speak. Do you come away and think, oh, that was...
Look, the reason why I think our firm is the most compelling brokerage infrastructure in the industry, which I do, is because of the culture. And it's because we attract the best people and the best people feed off each other.
Yeah.
And add value, and it's bigger than the sum of its parts, and so I agree with you. I'd like to see those people that we mentioned: Scholes, Giggs, Neville,
Becks,
Ferdinand, because I think they'd want to do it. They're all
so do I. They
United
love
fans.
Man United.
They are.
Do we know that they don't do it already?
I don't think they do. No, I think they go down to interview. I don't think they're down there. They're definitely not. They'd be saying, because if they're having a go about the standards, they're setting the standards. They wouldn't be there.
I mean,
I think
they
a lot of the
seem to
managers'
be
ego with the manager. They're like, this is my thing and I want to do it, and that's probably a good thing for the manager. But I think if it certainly wouldn't hurt.
No, of course.
Right
Listen,
I'm
I'm not disagreeing because I think it's the wrong thing to do. I'm just disagreeing because I think the problems there are much more deeper than just getting a few people in to give a pep talk.
No, but then you've got to change stuff. So if you keep doing the same thing, I personally don't think Amorim's I've just said it. I don't think he's the man. Maybe that's being a bit harsh, and it is hasty without a doubt. He's definitely got to see by the end of the season. If he can't,
who do you think is the man then? If you were the main man at Man United, if you were Jim Ratcliffe and you were in charge of the football side of things, and you just
to be honest,
decided...
I'll answer this. I don't know enough managers in world football because I really only watch the Premier League, so I don't know to give that honest answer.
I think he's getting a pass this year. I think they basically told him this year, listen, we would
100%.
love European football.
But I also think Jim Ratcliffe is a clown.
No.
And I think he's
Get out of
actually
here.
contributing.
Jim Ratcliffe?
I think he's an absolute clown what he's doing to Manchester United.
Say what you see, Sam. I love it.
There's more layoffs this week in Manchester.
I'm not saying he's
for
doing
people that are on
things great
20
at Man
grand
United,
a year,
but
yet you're paying some of these players 350 grand a year. It's outrageous, and that is where I'm saying with culture, at the top, he's now destroying that culture, getting rid of tea ladies, getting rid of this. That is exactly what I'm saying is the problem.
Yeah.
And I actually, again, another person getting away with it, I think, is Jim Ratcliffe, because if the Glazers did it, they would be out there tearing it down now.
I think it's a rebuilding phase, and they're clear as I think they're looking at it as a long-term plan, and they're trying to get the foundations in place, and they're trying to trim the fat. And you're absolutely right. There's two edges to that. There's the bottom line, what's that money? But then it's like getting rid of that person. Does that have a bigger effect? Like, is it worth, like the Alex Ferguson one, like getting rid of him? Is it worth $2 million a year or £2 million to have Alex Ferguson?
Again,
probably.
Alex Ferguson.
I agree.
Getting rid of Alex Ferguson. Manchester United.
It's curious. And I think with Amorim, because I think you're on the right track. I think the problem with him is that he hasn't got enough miles under his belt, or maybe the gravitas in the Premier League and the reputation with the players to command their respect enough to be doing what he's doing. And I think if he was 50 instead of 40 and he'd cut his teeth at Chelsea or Arsenal,
and he'd actually won stuff that would,
and I think, well, he did
like
win
Jose
stuff.
coming in, like he just won the Champions League to Chelsea.
Exactly.
But listen, it's different because I suppose there's not managers out there like Fergie. I suppose the only one that I can think of similar is Carlo, I suppose, who's been around a long time. And
I was going to say Carlos Ancelotti to be the next United, if you could get him. That's that sort of figure.
Mate, Everton got him. I think United will. I think United could take him. But apparently he's leaving Madrid, isn't he, at the end of the year?
Well, actually, then I saw something this week. Did you see Bellingham this week, actually?
Yeah,
yesterday.
12-game ban. He's looking at.
They reckon he could get a 12-game ban.
Yeah.
I saw whether that's just a load of rubbish, because what they're saying is he didn't say F you, he said F off to himself.
Yeah.
But he probably said it to the ref, like, oh, F off, like, whatever. Like, but
that's heavy, though. 12 games for saying that sounds bananas.
Yeah, even Hansi Flick come out and had a go at the Barca manager about it as well and said, like,
they're about George trying to cite Mason Greenwood as to getting it revoked, apparently. There was a similar situation with him.
And, really?
And they're saying that he got off, so that's nuts. Everyone says that. I mean, Christ.
Mason Greenwood's just had a baby with the girl.
Who?
With the girl that was under, you know what he was alleged to have done.
Really?
Like, the girl's just had his baby, or is pregnant.
Who are you talking about?
Mason Greenwood.
Oh.
Remember the video?
What are we, a showbiz podcast now?
Anything about that?
You are?
What are we, a showbiz podcast? Who cares? Fucking move on. Who cares about his private life? Who he's having babies with?
No, but they so Carlo could be a man for United. That's, to be honest with you, I don't know enough. Ruben Amorim, we got to wait to be seen. You can't judge. You can't. I'm not judging him. I'm just saying my opinion. I have seen nothing of him that can change this team. He's saying I can only play at back five.
He needs at least
needs more time. I think you've got to let him time put a stamp on it. You've got to give him a summer transfer window, and you've got to let him have a go next, and try and, because he's at the moment he's dealing with. He's got to put his culture, and he's got to get the respect of the players, and I think you've got to give him a bit of breathing room to do that. And,
100%. But
listen,
Man United,
I hope it doesn't work out for him.
I don't know.
I hope he gets them relegated.
It's tough, and candidly, it's brilliant as a Liverpool fan to
be exactly. I hope they get relegated. It's not going to happen, but I hope.
Is there something in Jim Ratcliffe where he wants Man United to be bad, so the price comes down to buy them?
No.
It's a good. By the way,
he's already a couple of billion in.
What a movie! It's one of my favourites, actually.
It's he could because it benefits him.
Hey, listen,
it doesn't.
I wouldn't.
How?
I would not discount that.
Because if he wanted to buy the Glazers out, right, it would pull their price down a hell of a lot.
If he wasn't already 2.5 billion in, then yeah. But he's like, if their price goes down, his price goes down, and then he's got to keep his fingers crossed that he can get it back up there, which is proven to be very, very fucking difficult for
I
anybody.
don't think it would at Man United. You'd be able to
No,
just about
you'd be able
spend
to,
everyone
yeah.
like fucking hell. And plus,
No.
any player, all the best players would want to go to you if you in like at that level.
In the Championship.
Yeah, like in that level. That's what I mean. Who do you think they want to play for, Derby or Man United?
Well, no, I know. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, but
they could
yeah.
get them back up to the Premier League, but then you've
no,
got
but
to
then you've
become a
rebuilt
force in the
completely, haven't
Premier
you?
League
Then it's layer on layer. Now you're taking off layer to put another layer. Like so, it's easier with a blank canvas.
How old is
isn't
he?
it?
How old
I
is
think.
he?
Look, I think it's doubtful, but I wouldn't
No,
dismiss
it's,
it.
I just
How
not
old
dismiss
is
it then.
How
Never
old's
thought of it,
Jim
I was
Ratcliffe? He's in his 70s, I think.
Yeah, but I, for some of the decisions he's made there, I just
I know. No, I know. I mean, the man's a genius, but he
Well,
did like
I'm not saying
that,
genius. I think he's a
that
clown.
long-
Like the way he's running football
that-
club.
18
that
billion
long
pound
game. I don't think he's got
Abilities.
the time to play.
I see. Also, I
don't
want to
think so.
move on as well. Talking of owners, Chelsea. The old fans don't want the owners again. No, their players are shit. Sam, we ain't seen him. I think he's
Haven't seen Sam since
better see.
the
I
win.
think he's drunk himself to.
Come on, Sam,
to
come
death.
back.
He
Come back
might-
and join us.
The
The water's warm.
they got battered by Brighton at the weekend. 3-0. Maresca said it was the worst.
I was surprised at that, because Brighton are not looking too
No, they haven't been great
clever either
in recent
No.
weeks.
No,
So they got absolutely annihilated, Chelsea.
yeah.
And this keeper's not good enough. Should have. Did anyone see Matoma's goal?
Oh,
Oh,
No.
you seen it?
No.
Ball
What a
gets
play.
played, long ball from the keeper. He touches it on the left, brings it down, and then the second and third touch pulls it out his finger and then whips it round. The keeper should have saved it, but it was like
Worldie.
it was like Burkamp.
Was it?
It was
yeah,
that
it was.
way.
That's what. Do you know what's funny? That's what it reminded me of as well, Bergkamp. Yeah,
It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
it was. It
Bergkamp
almost
rate
looked
on
like
your
he
list,
didn't
Tom?
really. What's that?
Where does Burkamp rate on your list in your top best ever Premier League players?
Oh, fuck. God knows, mate. You just put me on the
If you
spot there.
said
Top 10.
forward players, like
Yeah,
Yeah,
forward
yeah.
plays.
he's got to be in the top 10.
Most influential players. Then how's that?
Yeah. 'cause you-
For Arsenal, there's only
No,
one
the
person
Premier
I put
League.
above him, which is Henry. I think he's second.
yeah,
to
it's
Henry.
funny though, but when they all talk, they say him.
That's
Like
what I'm
Henri
asking.
talks and
I know,
Ian Wright talks.
Yeah.
They say Burkamp
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
how good he was.
It's not surprising. It's not
Might be top
surprising.
5.
Yeah. Who do you reckon? Let's do that now. The most I think is Eric the most.
Virgil van
influential?
Dijk.
Oh fuck off.
He's the best buy. He's by far the best buy. It was £1 million from Leeds, wasn't he? And then
Yeah.
Cantona.
Back-to-back league titles, didn't he?
oh, he's-
Leeds
I
then.
loved him. Even though he played for them, I loved him.
But was he as you say, the standard changer at Manchester United? He was what got
Yeah,
over
he
the
was.
line. He
I
was.
don't know. They had that, but that team, you got Bex, Giggs, Keane. There was a lot of. There was a
No,
lot
it was
of-
just before that because he was Ince, Keane,
Oh,
McClare,
Hughes.
Good recall.
Hughes,
Good recall.
Giggs
well,
was
then,
there.
then do you know what?
Bruce and Pally,
They'd already won a
Irwin,
Premier
Parker.
League. They'd already won. Had they not won
No,
it
he was the first.
No, is that right?
Eric
They
was the
brought him
first
in and
Premier
they won the
League.
league.
Yeah,
Oh well, then
first Premiership year '92.
forgive me.
That was the
Man
first
United
year they won it.
History's not up to scratch. But
They lost to Leeds
then
the
that's,
year
that's,
before.
That's a really good point.
I think they came short 2 years in a row. So 90, 91, 92,
maybe.
then they won it.
Maybe.
Zola?
Yeah, Zola. I love Zola. Love
He was one of them. He was
What
one of them
about
like
Ravanelli?
universal. Ravanelli.
Ravanelli, Viali.
Scored a
by
hat
the
trick
way.
against Liverpool in his first game, I believe.
I know,
Yeah, he did.
3-3,
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it?
yeah.
3-3. Middlesbrough had a fucking team at one point. Don't you remember Janino?
Janino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emerson.
Who was Emerson? That was who
Yeah.
I was thinking of. Emerson, yeah.
Ravanelli. They had some proper players,
Yeah.
didn't they?
They
Janino
went
was
big,
class,
didn't he,
wasn't
that summer? They went big that summer.
Yeah.
Gaza.
Did he play for
Was Gaza there at the same time as Janino?
Gaza, yeah.
Was he really?
Came in. Brian Robson bought him in, didn't he? He bought him,
Eric might
bought
be
him back.
it, That goal back. Eric might be it.
Henri's obviously there,
the
but
best.
Arsenal were already a false Anelka at Arsenal.
Yeah.
But he was.
Do you know what was mad with Anelka? He ended up playing at Bolton in between his career, and then actually went to better clubs again.
Yeah.
Like he went to Arsenal,
Everyone always worried
Real
about his
Madrid,
attitude, didn't they? Again, it goes back to attitude. Everyone worried about his temperament.
and then he went and won the Champions League again. Like it was kind of.
Yeah.
It
You
was
know,
a weird
talking
one,
about
wasn't it, with
earlier, we
Anelka?
were talking about Gerard Houllier. the worst decision he ever made as a Liverpool manager was because we had Anelka on loan, and
that's right.
he got rid of Anelka and signed El Hadji Diouf instead.
I'll
The
tell you the
biggest
worst decision.
shithead in world football.
I've got a better, worse decision of Gerard Julio.
Go on.
Getting Robbie Fowler out of the club. That was the worst decision he ever made.
I don't know,
Robbie
you know.
Fowler,
I don't know.
think he's one of the best
I don't know.
Premiership strikers.
I think that was a cultural thing for him. I don't think it was don't get me wrong, Robbie Fowler is probably my second favourite Liverpool player ever after Gerrard, but I think the reason Julio got rid of him was cultural.
Yeah,
you know what we were saying
Robbie's
earlier
book
about
says
Rashford and stuff like that.
He was made the scapegoat from it because he wouldn't.
Yeah, probably.
So, he wasn't a yes man, I think.
But listen, you can't make a nobody a scapegoat. If you're gonna make a scapegoat, make somebody
The top man, yeah.
people care about a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point? You know? And I think that's what he did. I was made up when he came back, Fowler. But
do you know what's funny? I was reading his book at
Gerrard's
the time.
probably the most influential, by the way. Just in
Of what?
terms of how he
What,
impacted...
of winning the fucking...
No, how he...
No, I'm press stop now.
I'll do it.
What was that? Hang on, I missed it. I missed it.
No,
What
you
did
haven't
you
pressed stop, have
say?
you?
I had to do it. I had to do it.
I missed it.
What
What
did
did
he
he
say?
I knew
I
it.
missed
Never
it.
won a league title.
All
He's
right.
the most influential.
Grenade.
Fuck me, I cannot listen to
Grenade.
it.
I love it.
Did
Sorry.
you say so? What did we say? Gerrard was the most influential.
Well, I think actually, joking aside, I would say he had the biggest impact on the team. He made a very average team win the European Cup.
Well, you know what we were talking about.
Yeah, but that's a
His
cup competition.
impact.
They didn't
I'm
forget
talking
one
about-
cup
I'm talking about the
competition.
delta of the team with him and without him.
Roberto Di Matteo won that cup as well, so it's like it's.
I'm saying the delta
won
between the
that cup
team
as
with him
though
and
it
without
was like
him. I think Gerrard
the Sunday League
was-
Cup.
That Champions League.
There we go.
That little cup. Well, it isn't. Let me tell you, it ain't a Europa Conference League. Yeah. I'm not even discussing it. My heart. I've got bad heart at the moment.
By the way,
I'm
boys,
worried
we've
about-
got a big
gonna say.
week coming up in the Premier League.
Oh,
a
the old-
big week.
Liverpool's
What?
big week. Let me tell you. Yeah, we got
Arsenal as well.
Arsenal. Yeah, you both.
Arsenal-
Got, you
who
know
got
what it is.
Arsenal
Arsenal
play
does
Forest
look worse.
away?
It looks bad because it says Manchester United in there as well. But you just
No,
then you
they're
go,
gonna- they'll
actually,
walk
Manchester
Man
don't
United.
shit. Dude, actually, I said last week that West Ham will beat Arsenal.
They won't.
Forget West Ham beating Arsenal. It will be 4-0 to Arsenal. I was on a hope that our players were coming back. Potter was finally getting some players. Well, he got most of them back last week, and we should have lost 10-0. They were booed off at half-time and at full-time. It was an
Arsenal's
absolute
toughest game
disgrace.
is going to
What do
be
you think that
Forest
is?
away.
I think we've got a lot of players that don't want to be there. The culture's obviously not right. Again, I like Graham Potter, and he does need time. You can't... But we're not seeing any improvement. And everyone said to West Ham, be careful what you wish for. But he shouldn't be David Moyes or nothing. West Ham has spent a lot of money. We spent 150 mil in the summer. I think we're on like fifth highest spenders or sixth highest spenders in the Premiership since 2019. Again, culture. But we've got a big ground, and I'd say that is quite impressive for a team like West Ham. And even though is it as good for football? Maybe not. But then you've got a training ground that's at the bottom level of the Championship.
Is that right?
Yeah. We've got porta cabins. That's our training ground.
Yeah, you can't.
And then...
You want players excited to get in and feeling positive about... You don't want to give them excuses to be negative.
No.
It's just too easy because that permeates. That's why I'm going back to Man United. Like, you don't need players going into the grounds going, we're Man United and this is shit. You know what I mean? Like, they want to be proud of everything, and that will, I think... Because, again, these players are all world... Or they're the best in the world, a lot of these players. And the margins are tiny, and it goes on the 6 inches in between your head is the difference a lot of times. And if you're just not mad for it, that permeates, like toxicity permeates.
It's funny, do you know, I was just thinking while you're talking there, City, 2 new players into the team. Whew.
I know.
I saw that. What's the striker? It's funny. I don't actually know either of the name. Marouche.
Yeah, I think it.
Right.
Yeah,
Apologies
yeah,
to whoever it is. I'm sure we're going to learn it.
Yeah.
A hat trick, but his movement was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And then,
I mean, Pep doesn't really sign bad players, does he?
and well, the one he was talking about most was the central defensive midfielder that he called Mini Rodri. He was, when you saw him break it down, brilliant. Like, it's funny. Just shows if you've got a system like they play, what he did. He just stayed central more, and Rico Lewis could do what Pep wanted him to do. And Newcastle were poor, though. They were very poor. But they, the striker, he looked really, really good.
All right, I'm going to ask you. So, who do Man United recruit? Who do they buy to be that inspirational leader that can permeate through the team?
There was two, and they missed them both.
Go on.
It was Declan Rice and Harry Kane. That was
No,
the two.
I don't think
Alex
Rice
Ferguson
would have made
was
a
there.
difference.
They were the two that you would have bought in.
And they'd have,
Scholesy said it the other day, actually. Man United have not got a spine.
yeah,
He said that's where you got to start.
yeah.
But
And,
they
and he's
needed them
completely
both,
right. He said
though,
the
Sam.
keeper's not good enough. They've not got a centre half. They've not got a central midfielder. And they've not got a striker. So the whole spine of the team. So if you were going to buy for Man United right now, that's where you got to go. And
And the
unfortunately, it's going
keeper's
to be the most
shit
expensive.
as well, by
What?
the way. The keeper's terrible as well.
He's bad, yeah.
said the keeper,
That's
yeah.
what I mean. So, okay, maybe you can get away with a keeper, right? Let's just say you haven't got the money. Where you going? You got to go centre half, centre forward. But Man United can't score goals. That's the actual problem, and the midfield. So the two that I would have bought, could you still go and buy Harry Kane? I think his clause is up this year. If he goes and wins a trophy with, it's harder. I think he would have gone at the time to United.
I do too.
And I think Deck would have gone as well. And I
But
think
don't you think they would have needed to buy them both? Because
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
that's what I'm
think
saying.
One,
they were the two players that I
Yeah.
would have gone
both
and
of
built
them,
my
not-
team around.
Not one of them.
You were?
I said they would have needed to take them both because just one of them wouldn't have made any difference. I don't
100%.
think.
They needed
Yeah.
both. They needed Deck
Yeah.
and Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I think they're English. They were both captains. You're kind of, that's setting a tone of, we've got one of the best strikers in the world.
Yeah.
We've got one of the best midfielders in the world.
We mean business. Let's go, lads.
And then all of a sudden, I think them two signings would have gone around. And I said that for a long time, man. You know, them two for me were the standouts. They're also level setters. They both work incredibly hard. Like
Yeah.
Deck doesn't stop running. Harry Kane, he's a good player as well as striker.
Yeah.
Never in trouble. Both train. Both England captains.
Yeah.
As well. I think
True.
that's when you
Yeah.
say, are you setting standards?
I think you're right.
That's where the standards come from.
But they're not going to sign them, are they? So
No,
so
not now.
Not
what,
now.
What do they do now? Because
To be honest, I probably don't know enough in world football because you're not going to go and get Jude.
No.
And really, is Jude what they need? No, they need a holding midfielder. So the next best person of that, and a striker. Now,
But then you've
maybe
got
the
to
Sporting
think
Lisbon
they're not going to be in
striker.
the Champions League.
Pardon?
They're not going to be in the Champions League. They don't have a ton of money to spend because of the PSR rules.
No, but you got to think they're going to clear out quite a bit, and some of them clear outs will be homegrowns, which would be doubles as well. Like so
Like
Rashford,
who?
that'll count Rashford. Make
Yeah,
a clear out
okay,
Mainu.
Rashford. Mainu, they can't get rid of Mainu.
No.
They
If
won't,
get
but,
rid of Mainu-
maybe they will. But what I'm saying is they might to raise money. They might have to. Ahmad,
But why? You're not going to buy somebody better than Mainu. for what you're gonna
Garnacho,
sell
that's
him
another one.
for.
Homegrown.
Who?
Garnacho.
Garnacho, yeah.
Because they don't play in his system. So, but what you
Right.
got to remember, they sell them, it's 100% profit for PSR. So,
Right, yeah.
I'm not saying they'd want to get rid of Mainu, but they might have to. If you want to rebuild a whole side, you might have to.
But they need a player like Mainu, though. So why would you
Do
sell
they?
somebody?
I do agree Man United should have homegrown players and things like that in their side.
I mean, just as a
Has he
ability.
done enough? I don't know.
I would have Mainu at Liverpool.
Everyone's done enough.
No problem. They would never sell a player to Liverpool.
Maybe but what I'm saying is maybe around a good midfield, yes. But maybe they're so far beyond that. I don't even know if you've got to rebuild Man United in stages and say, let's rebuild us as a top 6 team first. And then we add, like, look at it, it's a 10-year project almost. Like,
It's hard.
It's hard to do, isn't
It's
it?
hard to do because you can't have a player for 10 years most of the time.
No.
I mean, Milan won't play that long. So, you got to...
it's tough. They're in a tough spot. But look, ultimately, you can turn it around with the right manager and money, which they've got. You can turn it around. But you've got to have the forward thinking.
You nailed it. They've got to make those 2 signings that are game changers. And I don't know who they are. But, yeah, that was a big miss. Not getting those 2, I think, is
huge.
You're 100% right. That would have been a game changer.
Because then you would have had players there that might have stood up and listened. Maybe not your Sanchos, your Rashfords, that might have gone, okay, this is a different place.
But again, it's inspiring. They go, oh, these guys are...
Or maybe
right.
when you had Pogba
Everybody
there,
raise.
you had a few players, your McTominays, all of them that might have actually gone, this ain't bad here. Like this is quite good. But they haven't done it, so they've got to try and do it. But will this guy, is he going to go and buy the Sporting Lisbon players and they don't adapt to the Premiership?
Who's that forward? Who's the spot?
Gyökeres, Gyökeres, or who scored all the goals in the world at the minute. But who knows? They might do it in the Premiership. They might not.
I think again, we've mentioned it a lot today. I think you've got to look as much as the players with the skill and how they're going to impact the culture, because I think that's the biggest thing. Guys that are going to lift everybody and be more than the sum of their parts. They're the guys they're the guys you got to bring in.
Captains.
Yeah.
You've got to go in and bring in captains.
Agreed.
Because Man United, that's what actually the biggest critic of them over years is they've got no leaders.
Yeah.
And
Chris, any generational talent on your radar?
Oh, I've got loads, mate. Everyone that I mentioned is generational. that aged well, didn't it? Rashford, generational talent. Who's he playing for now?
But Man United have got to almost start thinking like Man United again, which is very hard because obviously you can bully the Premier League when you're top.
Yeah.
But they used to go and get the best player. Like a couple of years ago, Jared Branthwaite at Everton. Now he's probably not actually turned out to be what he was, but
I think he's still really good though.
Me too, and I think, but let's just say at that day they will go, Man United, right? You're ours.
Yeah,
that's it. Rooney, you're ours.
Piero,
Rio, you're ours. Carrick, So they were going in and buying
Tevez, Ronaldo. I mean, you go down, they were all mega, weren't they?
Yeah, and Alexis Sanchez, Robbie Van Persie.
Yeah.
You're ours now.
Yeah.
Like, really? Why can't they go to Arsenal and say, Deck, you come.
Mo Salah.
Harry, you come. Salah. Like,
could you imagine?
Like, if you were Man United and you say, like, we're going to do it 1 year. Like, imagine you brought in Deck, Harry Kane, let's just say Mo, and Van Dijk, right? It's not going to happen. Let's just say, you just changed that club.
Wait, you were telling me Van Dijk was
You're now challenging for the league this year.
Sam, you were telling me Van Dijk was shit the other day. What are you
No, I don't think
you should have heard him. You should have heard him, Chris.
Van Dijk, for me, is not in the top defenders of the Premier League ever.
Waffler.
He's the top best defender now because people can't defend.
Because people can't defend, and apparently there are no good forwards anymore. But
well, there's not many now, is there? It's very different. Who would you fancy playing up against? Jared Bowen, who's a winger, or Shearer and Ferdinand.
All right, but
Fowler and Owen.
Or Haaland and Aguero.
Yes, one team.
And Messi
one team.
And Ronaldo. No.
One team. Ronaldo's not in the Premier League.
He was a few
But I would imagine
when he was 36.
He probably played more against Messi and Ronaldo, which he usually did twice a year in the Champions League. Van Dijk. He usually
played against Messi and Ronaldo twice a year. Don't talk fucking rubbish.
What are you talking about? If we drew Barcelona or Real Madrid,
you didn't challenge him every year, playing them twice. You didn't play him every year. That's 2 games.
It was fairly regularly though.
And you lost most of them.
No, he hasn't.
I think we might have beaten Barcelona just quietly
once when Messi was sick.
Best game.
When Messi was sick.
We didn't have Mo Salah.
No, that's my thing anyway. Virgil van Dijk, I think he's a fantastic defender now, and you can't.
He's the best that's ever. He's a Rolls Royce of a man. He's a Rolls
But
Royce of a man.
I've seen him laugh do some stupid things in recent weeks.
Like what?
He
Turned his back on the ball to
No,
for the
apart
goal.
from that I agree. You shouldn't have done
Gives
that.
the ball
but
away a
apart from
lot.
that, like what? What else?
Gives the ball away a lot. Well, I haven't got the clips here and show me.
yeah,
But if you want me to bring some clips up,
he doesn't give the ball away. Sometimes he has a lapse in concentration.
Yeah, that's
you
what
can
I mean.
count them on one hand in 5 seasons. I mean, you can.
I'm going to go and study Liverpool's goals now this week, just to bring it up next week. And I will have clips, Amrit. We will have some clips of Virgil van Dijk's
Sam's going to go and get
year.
his Van Dijk stat pack.
Who do we think's all right? We'll finish off with predictions. What do you think's going to happen?
With what?
The league.
The league's done. It's finished.
I don't think it is.
No, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, bottle jobs. I know, but
No,
fuck
and
me.
I think that's a problem.
All right,
Let me tell you,
at what
Arsenal
point-
might have beat Leicester the weekend with no striker.
Yeah, but
Let me tell you, they ain't beating Man City with no striker.
If we can't normalise Wolves after that Everton game.
No, but to be fair,
Anfield.
But I'll be
No,
honest with you.
that was
Wolves,
a lovely
over the
win.
last couple of weeks, I've actually watched Wolves the last 2 weeks.
They
They
good.
were against Villa, were absolutely really, really good the week
I know,
before.
but we should be marmalising every team apart
No,
from
I mean, you
Arsenal
can't
and
say
City.
that.
And maybe
I don't know. You
Chelsea.
play a lot of games. Like there's going to be a little towel off.
I'm
You-
talking about after that midweek game and at Anfield, you wanted to see a steely determination.
Yeah, but they had a big
and-
game in midweek against Everton. You can't. You look at Villa. They're dropping off now because of Champions League and things like that. You can't. This is Man United didn't marmalise teams every week. They nicked a 1-0 win late on. That's what they've just done. I think that is perfect.
It
for
was
them.
nervy. The stadium was
And
nervy. The players were
listen,
nervy.
Villa on it's Wednesday, Villa, and then City on Sunday are two huge because they're both away. Huge games.
I think
for us.
the sad thing for you is you're getting City now when they're actually back on the up.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah,
actually,
got a bit of momentum.
if they can continue this, the striker I think is really good, and this central midfielder could be key to even they got Real Madrid in a week or whatever. He could be very, very key for what I saw against Newcastle. Although Newcastle, I will with a caveat, Newcastle were fucking poor, and their
were
midfield
poor,
was
yeah.
all over the place. So maybe he's not as good. It might look in one game. So I'd be interested to see over a couple of games, but they could be a big problem for you, City. But then you can still lose a few.
But
we've got to play
Villa
Arsenal
Do
as well,
I
remember.
think Arsenal
We've got to
gonna?
play Arsenal at the end of the season.
Do I think? When have you got Arsenal? Yeah, you've
3
got them
games
May
to
the
go.
10th. So Arsenal got you. Then they got Newcastle. Arsenal got Bournemouth still. Everton,
do you know
which
what?
are on
It's
the
funny.
rise now. Everton,
There are
Fulham,
not many
good
easy
side.
games anymore.
Chelsea, that's always a tough game
Yeah,
for Arsenal
derby
because it's a
game.
derby. They've
And
got
it's
Man
away
United.
as
There's obviously
well,
the history
isn't it?
there. They got Forest away
Is
coming up.
Chelsea away?
Forest are doing well. So there's still games that Arsenal could. Arsenal won't win every game of the season. I'm telling you that now. Not with no striker.
No, I agree with that. But,
They had
but
no one to come on.
if Liverpool don't do well in the next 3 games, especially the next two,
We can get 4 points on being
I-
next Monday.
yeah,
with 4
we
points,
could get
I
4
think we
points.
take that one.
I'd
Great,
have
yeah.
that.
Right, we're
Yeah.
finishing up.
Done.
I'm cutting you both off. Thank you very much. Give us a because I can't go on to about Liverpool anymore. Give us a follow on YouTube,
Liverpool
Spotify, and
fans, what else
Apple,
to do?
and on Instagram. Keep up to date with us. We are Football or Soccer Pod, and we will see you all next week.
See you next
you
week,
later,
boys. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds.